I felt like we saw a lot of similar concepts out of both the Commanders and the Bears offense yesterday. There was a lot of zone read. There were a lot of like OG spread concepts. Am I off on this? And I was just fooled by their looks? Or how do you feel like what you saw schematically out of both teams? I feel like it was similar stuff.
Yeah, I think you're dead on. I do think there was a ton of overlap. I'm not going to act like I watched the Commanders this morning as well as I did, as in depth as I did with the Bears. But I will tell you, you're dead on from the Bears' perspective, right? I think they're doing a ton of. It's hard to truly say true RPO because a lot of it's so dressed up with, like, to me, what feels like not really run pass option, maybe more called like run action. But yeah, at the end of the day, they're all running the same stuff. And then I think a lot of the shots, even downfield, you sat there and you were kind of like, okay, hey, we've seen this before, which I do think is a testament to our offense trending in the right direction, right? Where, Washington's been explosive in the past. The fact that Ben's dialing up some of those similar concepts is, I think, a good sign, not a bad sign.
Well, and I also think we talked about this in the week before, and I said perhaps the best thing you can do for your run game is if you know that your RB2 and RB3 maybe aren't up to snuff, like zone read. And I feel like there was a lot of either zone read look based on previous play action, based on previous run, or it was just outright zone read. I couldn't quite tell.
Yeah, and then I think the thing that I really like the most, honestly, and it's not even, there's of course they have zone read when they're running Caleb, but the one thing that I've liked the most, the addition in the run game, is truly running Caleb. And I don't mean, I'm not sitting here like, hey, let's give him 10 carries a game and let's get him downhill, but those when you need it situations, the 3rd and 4 that he goes and he gets with his legs, it's kind of more of a designed run. That goal line where he goes and, the kid has a nose for the end zone. He goes and makes plays a bunch. I only know that because I take a lot of anytime Caleb Williams touchdowns. They're great. So, yeah, that's where I tell you I've loved that addition from Ben. But to me, I think you guys are dead on. I was listening to the last segment, too, of there's a lot of scheme now that we're starting to see. It's all married together and it's starting to make a more efficient offense, right? Whether it's the zone read elements of it, the RPO, hey, just the way we're actually blocking up run it runs. We're doing a substantially better job now than we were week 1, which I think we all really wanted to come into the season knowing, right? We knew we would progress. Living, it's a whole different story, right? We all want to preach patience and all this other jazz. Actually being patient when you drop a couple games that you feel like you should win, that's a whole different thing. But I do think you're dead on with the zone read, and I do think you're dead on with just the way we've been dressing up some of these run plays.
And Tim, I like to take the progress thing because, my thing is Caleb over everything and try to see every week, do I feel like progress was made? And I say the Raiders game, it may not have looked like a whole lot of progress was made, but hey, they survived and won a game and they did it on the road. And here you had a superior opponent to the Raiders, obviously, that you go to their place. He goes back home. He gets it done. From a technical standpoint, though, how did you feel about Caleb's progress and development?
Yeah, I mean, the Bears as a whole, let's start there. I think you're dead on with the assessment, which is, I don't think our quarterback played great. I'm not saying he played poorly. I don't think he played great, and we found a way to win a road game, which I think shows our team and organization trending in the right direction. From Caleb specifically, I don't think there was nothing that jumped off the tape that was like screaming bad. I tell you, when you really dive into the bads, you could say, okay, hey, the roam throw on the deep shot, you've got to put it as a bad because we don't get PI. Now, we all know that's PI, right? Everybody gets the underthrown deep ball PI. But hey, we underthrow it, we don't get the call, you got to put that in the bad. The one that he tries to force the number 2, the slot receiver slant, and it almost gets picked. That one to me was kind of one of those that's a real issue. Anytime you're working double slant, you work inside out. The inside guy, that backer jumped it. The outside guy's wide open. He's got to move on to that one. And then the only other 2 for me were, hey, he didn't catch a shotgun snap, which is 100% on him. The snap's not perfect, but we got to field that. And then the 2-point play, he actually had his back. His back was actually wide open at the front pylon if he just plays on time. So that's really the only bad I saw. Everything else, you're sitting there and you're going, okay, hey, it's either a no grade from a protection standpoint or a route concept, or it was like, hey, that's a pretty dang good throw, a pretty good football. You talked about some third down stuff that I thought he did a great job converting with his legs. So to me, I do think it was a good game for Caleb. I don't think it was one of those, where you're sitting there and he really blew the doors off of it. But we can't have that expectation every week. We need to be able to win football games when our quarterback just has a solid day, and that's exactly what the Bears did.
One of the things that Troy Aikman mentioned multiple times was that Caleb would complete a ball to a receiver, but not put the receiver in a position to get yards after the catch, to catch the ball in rhythm. Did you notice that? And what is that a product of?
Yeah, I mean, based on what I heard on Twitter this morning, I'm happy I was watching the game muted. I got to say, we got 4 little kids at home. I thought the vasectomy ad to start this segment was especially dialed up for me.
Does wonders. It'll do wonders.
It was muted. I heard a lot of people said, "Hey Tim, good thing you had it muted. It was tough. Troy was tough on Caleb."
It was.
Listen, there's a machete throw where you got the double deep over. He's a little bit behind DJ. I agree. I think that ball's got to be in front. Simultaneously, I'm saying that from my office. That's 72 degrees and no one's hitting me, and he's got a 305-pound guy in his face. So, did I see like a ton of accuracy issues last night when I really dove in the tape? No, I didn't. For every time you say, hey, Caleb's got to do a better job, that's behind DJ, you could also say, if we catch that shallow cross that he drills right in the numbers, to the second to last possession of the game, he's still running, we score a touchdown, this game's not even close. So there was nothing that screamed out. There's nothing that jumped off the film to me. I think every quarterback in the NFL, would like 8 throws back a game. And I didn't see anything bigger than that for Caleb.
We're talking to Tim Jenkins. He is our film man. He is of T. Jenkins Elite on X. You can check out his YouTube breakdowns as well. And he watched the Bears game last night, so we always like to get into what he had to say. One of the nuggets that I think was important from the broadcast, Tim, that wasn't necessarily discussed publicly, because we're trying to figure this out now. I know you remember when there was a big discussion around Justin Fields changing his footwork and which foot he wanted forward toward the line of scrimmage when he was with Luke Getsy. Well, it turns out that was something that was brought up last night on the broadcast, was making sure Caleb Williams' footwork. Ben Johnson apparently very clear on this, that not even talking about the rhythm of it and the timing of it, but just that he wanted his left foot forward toward the line. Did you observe any of that and possibly the changes that we've seen when it comes to especially those throws to the perimeters?
Yeah, I think so. To me, I think that the thing that you want to take away from the Ben Johnson piece of that is that he has a stance on it, right? Ben saying, hey, I want your right foot back. For me, listen, I'll be honest with you guys. I've always been a left foot back guy. And the reason I say that is because defaulting your left foot back, you play in rhythm with, I hate saying it like this. You're going to catch more dumb OCs being right. Like if you put your left foot back, more often than not, if the offensive coordinator hasn't thought about the timing of the concept from a quarterback's footwork perspective, you're going to be right more often. Ben Johnson's not one of those guys I'm worried about that with, right? He's particular. He says, hey, I want your left foot up, your right foot back. He's got a reason for it. I'm guessing he elongates some of his quick game, right? I'd be willing to bet they're not always 1 and 3 steps on slant. I'd be willing to bet they sometimes sneak up there and get to 5, and then Caleb's in a punch flip. From a technical standpoint, I think as long as your coordinator cares enough to tell you, that's what I wasn't convinced of with the old staff with Justin, was they were like, well, Justin's comfortable. It's like, dude, I don't care what the quarterback wants to do. What is the timing of your offense? What are my feet? How are my feet supposed to tell me to get to this route? Because if I don't know exactly, to me, you should be able to just have a single zoomed in shot of Caleb and know exactly what progression he's on. And you can see that now. You can see where he's dialed in with that. So to me, it's more of a philosophical piece of we should be happy that, hey, Ben has an opinion on it. They're executing it. In terms of, if I was going to be honest with you guys, if I was in the quarterback room, I'd really want to understand, hey, why are we doing our right foot back? Because I've always felt like it makes it to where you don't place a premium on footwork. It's more of like a feel thing, like when you watch an Aaron Rodgers type play. With that being said, Ben's not that kind of coach. He's not going to be like, hey, go with your feel. He's dialing in these guys exactly where they need to be. So to me, I think the right foot back, left foot back isn't as big of a deal which one's back as much as, hey, does your OC have a reason for it? And then are we tying our feet to our progressions?
And Tim, looking at what Caleb's been able to do and now looking forward, I'm curious as you see the schedule kind of lightening up, what you're expecting in games like this one, for instance, this weekend at home against New Orleans. We know New Orleans has not been a good team so far this season, also with a first-year head coach. Is there some type of jump you are expecting, or is it just more kind of what we've seen from game to game so far? Because we had the bye week, which we knew there would be changes. Theo Benedette now starting at right tackle. And I feel like we see a big difference what this offense looks like from what it did before the bye.
Yeah, what I'd like to see the jump for Caleb specifically is I would like to get rid of the double slant that he didn't read correctly. I want to get rid of that one, and I want to get rid of the 2-point play. I want to get to the point where we're in the middle of the season and we're saying we don't bust progressions ever, right? Our eyes are where they're supposed to be on every single play. In terms of, hey, how realistic is that? It's not super unrealistic when you look across the NFL at the elite quarterbacks. When you go watch some of these guys, and again, this isn't like he's better than Caleb. It's just where they're at in the progression. You just don't see that kind of stuff with like a Jared Goff, with, the Mahomes of the world. Their progressions are always clean. You can always say, hey, I know exactly why his eyes are here. With that being said, no one's perfect when it comes to putting the football where it needs to be, right? So for me, that's what I want to see the next jump for Caleb. From an offense as a whole, man, I'm excited to see what they dial up as you kind of get a little bit lighter. You guys know, it's like every week Ben puts a little wrinkle on film that is, pretty darn fun to me. So I'm excited to see what kind of wrinkles they throw in. If they feel like, hey, maybe we have even a personnel advantage here too. It'll be exciting to see what they do from that perspective as well.
We're talking to Tim Jenkins. He is our quarterback whisperer. He is the founder CEO of Jenkins Elite, does the YouTube breakdowns too. And also, for all we talked about the offensive line last year, Tim, we hadn't talked about it much, and that's probably a good sign of things. What did you think of Theo Benedette's debut starting at left tackle in this game, and then just the line blocking overall?
Here's what I'll tell you. I thought about his debut is didn't notice it, which is a good thing, right? You sit there and you go, hey, I didn't notice that guy. Hey, you're not singling somebody out. That's a really good thing. I'm going to be honest. I think they not only are doing a better job up front, I think we're putting them in better situations. We had a play where our center pops to take a hit off of Caleb, which is what that means, like, hey, we're taking a couple steps on a run action. He peels back around to make sure this free runner can't hit Caleb. We did some really cool stuff up front from a schematic standpoint to put these guys in a great situation. But at the end of the day, it's like, you can put a quarterback in a great spot, right? He's still got to make the throw. You can put these O-line in, you can put these linemen in a great spot. They still got to protect. And they did exactly that. And not only that, but they were blowing people off the football with how we were running it. So you think about it, we had a game-sealing drive. We finally were the ones winning with a kick, one block, nothing funky. And the only Caleb Williams clip from that drive was a 6-yard stick route. Everything else, we were just running it effectively. That's a testament to the boys up front. So to me, I think the one thing I could say is they're not it's not noticeable on tape, which means they're doing their job, which is exactly what you want from an NFL line.
Yes, it is. Tim Jenkins, thank you so much for joining us. And I know you got the 4 kiddos, so I know you stuck it out for us with your voice. So we appreciate that too.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, sorry, I've been yelling at them all day. So, we're on fall break over here. So you guys just keep me in the loop. Hopefully I'm back up and running next week.
Good luck with the vasectomy.
I'm not going to say let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
Tim, thank you so much. If you want to see more of his work, he is available on YouTube and at T Jenkins Elite.